Hello, I'm quoting tonight from a book by Noel Whelan, who's a barrister and a political correspondent. The book is Fianna Fáil, a biography of the party. And this section of it deals with Albert Reynolds and John Major. The two men were coming up to the time when the Downing Street Declaration was signed, and there were many difficulties to be ironed out before that agreement came about. So I'll start with this here. Afterwards I'll quote from Fergus Findlay, who was a government advisor at the time. By early December, however, when Major came to Dublin, the process had run into a crisis. The British government produced its own text for a declaration, withdrawing the text that the two governments had been working on. This new text was not acceptable to the Irish government, and Reynolds realised that he would not be able to deliver the Republican movement on those terms. He was determined to get this document off the table. Fergus Findlay, who was an active participant in the exchanges between British and Irish officials, and who has at times been a vocal critic of Reynolds, attended the vital meeting. He has given a dramatic and admiring account of Reynolds's performance at this make-or-break moment in the peace process. Quote, "The two delegations were seated on either side of the Queen Anne table, and Albert got right to the point. 'You're making a fool out of me, John,' he said, 'and I won't have it. We'll do no business on the basis of this thing,' and he threw the British paper into the middle of the table. 'What are you suggesting?' Major asked him. 'Surely we have the right to table important new ideas.' 'I'm suggesting bad faith, John,' Albert snapped, 'and we'll do no business that way. We go back to the document we started with, or we're out of here now.' John Major had been toying with a pencil as Albert spoke. At the use of the words bad faith, the pencil snapped in his hands. He looked down at it, bemused, and then looked up at Albert. 'I think we should talk privately,' he said. He was pale, his lips tight. 'Grand so,' Albert grinned, and I realised with a start he was enjoying this. The whole peace process now hung in the balance. While the two leaders adjourned for their private talk, the air was thick with tension. Eventually the door to the ante-room opened, and Albert came out, saying to the nearest British official, 'He wants to see ye inside.' I happened to be standing nearest to the Taoiseach when Albert emerged, and I said, 'How did it go, Taoiseach?' 'It wasn't too bad,' Albert replied. 'He chewed the off me, but I took a few lumps out of him.' He grinned, as always, but he too was pale and tense. When John Major returned, it was as if nothing had happened. It was agreed, without any further discussion, that work would resume on the original text that was already in hand. Some desultory work was done on some of the paragraphs before the meeting ended with an agreement to finalise the text as rapidly as possible and hold another summit to announce the outcome as soon as we had an outcome." Unquote from Fergus Findlay. Reynolds's hard ball paid dividends. 12 days later, amid continuing speculation that an historic breakthrough in relations between the Irish and British governments with regard to Northern Ireland was imminent, he went to London, where he and Major signed what became known as the Downing Street Declaration. It was a huge political breakthrough and a triumph for Reynolds's perseverance. In the declaration, the British government stated for the first time that it would uphold the democratic wish of a greater number of the people of Northern Ireland on the issue of whether they prefer to support the Union or a sovereign United Ireland. It also affirmed that the British government had no selfish, strategic or economic interest in Northern Ireland. Their primary interest is to see peace, stability and reconciliation established by agreement among all the people who inhabit the island, and they will work together with the Irish government to achieve such an agreement, which will embrace the totality of relationships. There you have it. Two men from two very different backgrounds who had enormous respect for each other and who got on quite well. The ex-bus driver, bus conductor from London, and the ex-dance hall manager from County Longford. White Gypsy is the name of this beer company. It's called Dark Lady. This title is Dark Lady, described as seriously good beer. It's the White Gypsy Company are based in Templemore in County Tipperary, and it is what strength? 5.2%. I've been drinking this the last quarter of an hour, so that's why it's a bit flat now. It's a lovely beer. And it's not the only title they have several other ones as well. And if you're in Templemore, they sell it in the local pubs on draft, which is very popular too, I'm told. Thanks for tuning in. Tune in again sometime.